THQ Nordic has distanced itself comments made by its subsidiary THQ Nordic and has backed Deep Silver's decision to launch Metro Exodus as a time exclusive on the Epic Games Store. At first glance it was a confusing sentence, so take a deep breath and hold on to your hat, because we are about to venture down the THQ rabbit hole. Reading. Here goes. THQ Nordic is the owner of Deep Silver and its parent company Koch Media, the latter of which still holds the rights to the Metro franchise, and yesterday suggested it was not enamored with the company's decision to pull Metro Exodus from Steam in favor of the Epic Store. We do not want to categorically exclude the possibility of timed exclusives for any of our games in the future, wrote THQ Nordic on Twitter. But speaking in the here and now, we definitely want to have the players choose the platform of their liking and make our portfolio available to as many outlets as possible. Now, THQ Nordic Games' own parent company, THQ Nordic has distanced itself from those comments and said it fully supports Koch Media's decision, as well as the autonomy of its various subsidiaries. I believe it's in the group's, and ultimately the consumers' best interest that business decisions are made close to the market, and this is the group's consistent business model, said THQ Nordic chief exec Lars Wingefors. I firmly believe that Deep Silver and Koch Media have carefully considered the advantages and disadvantages, opportunities and risks in their decision to go solely with Epic Games Store. The decision has my full support. Wingefors has also realized the shortcomings of having two different business entities sharing the THQ Nordic name, and now plans to change the name of THQ Nordic to better reflect its status as the group's parent company, THQ Nordic, the operating entity based in Vienna, and the one that tweeted yesterday, will keep its current moniker. In this success story and Gonzo project beat down sensation Lethal League recently got a sequel in Lethal League Blaze. The games combine a fighting game setup with play that involves manipulating the third entity, a ball that floats around the playfield and bounces off of walls, like the ball in Breakout. When smacked by a player, it gains gratifyingly greater speeds and becomes able to do huge damage to opponents. One of the game's creators, Diane Coster of Team Reptile, agreed to answer out questions about this engaging and kinetic take on fighting games. This interview has been slightly edited for publication. I am Diane Coster. I like dancing and making things. Me and Tim Ramos are the two bosses of Team Reptile. We are a concentrated team of about 5 people. We also bring in lots of artists for specific things, so the credits roll a bit longer than that. My own role is that of a game director, determining the style and vision both visual and gameplay-wise are the things on my plate. Tim is on the business and management side, but both of us still spend most of our time hands-on with the game. We released our first game, called Megabyte Punch, in 2013, and then our first heavy hitter, Lethal League, in 2014. Lethal League did really well. Both of us moved out, and from that point on we were truly self-sufficient. We never worked with a publisher or received any funds for development either, mostly because we cannot work without full creative control. Lethal League Blaze is our latest release, and it did even better for us than the original Lethal League. All of our games made their investment back and a bunch more for the Lethal League series. So as an independent studio we are pretty well off. Of course, we do not want to sit back too much. We do our best to challenge ourselves in ways for every game. And if the fans can see our sincerity with that, then I am as happy as can be. Sure, while we were making Megabyte Punch, there was a mechanic that reflected projectiles. There were projectiles that were one-hit kill in that game, which made it really exciting to reflect them back and forth. We decided to make this into a mini-game, which became the Lethal League prototype. I made it in Flash in a space of 2 weeks, put it on our site for free, and we sent it off to a few websites. You can actually still play it over here. It appeared on the radar of Adam Hart, who people might know from DivGig, who was at Shoryuken.com at the time. He featured it at the Ultimate Fighting Game Tournament 9 as the grand final mystery game, and that really boosted our popularity early on. We finished Megabyte Punch, and it was clear we should just head straight into making Lethal League into a proper full game. A year later, in 2014, we showcased the game on Evo and released it on Steam. Before the release, we did not get a lot of attention outside of the FGC. Thereafter, however, YouTubers jumped on it one by one. Total Biscuit, Game Grumps, PewDiePie, Markiplier. It probably was the extremity and big anticipation moments that attracted them. We kept updating the game for a while, and we managed to port it to PS4 and X1 in-house. While that was going on, we decided to do a sequel with 3D graphics. Since we ported the thing to Unity anyway, it was also a good way to up our game to scale up a bit, without taking that big of a risk. I did not want to name it Lethal League 2, because it implies that you still had to have played the original, so we went with Lethal League Blaze instead. The Blaze is actually the get-up move you can do in this version, after being knocked down, signifying the fact that you will not die in one hit anymore. On high speeds, you still have the one-hit kill shots, so the hype is not lost. We added more moves, like pitching and spiking. The pitch is especially important, because it directly counters parrying, which is like blocking in Lethal League. Of course, the main attraction are the new characters, stages, modes and music. We have double the characters that the original had at launch. One of the modes you can unlock is called Lethal Volley. We had a lot of 2v2 fun with that one. We also made a story mode in this iteration. Even though Lethal League does not really shine in single player, most people will be buying this game by themselves, and I want them to get some fun out of it even before finding a homie to play against. The style comes from my experiences in street culture and hip-hop with the skating, b-boying and graffiti I was doing. This is what drew me to Jet Set Radio Future at the time, which blew my mind with near-future versions of the styles I was familiar with. Hip-hop originated in America, of course, but what they had done was use inspiration from the French sci-fi artist Mobius and the backdrop of Tokyo to advance it into new territory. Although I admit it hit me more than others, because I saw where it was coming from. This mix between West and East influenced my personal style heavily. So yeah, I am a fan of Ryu Tojo, the art director for Jet Set Radio. Looking for similar Japanese artists, I also came across CP Gobo and Daisuke Nakayama, that two that my friends in the European underground dance scene, and graffiti writers from all over the world, and get something that looks like Lethal League Blaze. It was not really tempting to add more elements per se. When looking at people picking up the games we make, they usually seem to have more fun with something deep instead of something complex. If you get what I mean. There are still not that many elements compared to most top-of-the-bill fighting games, but the interactions in certain contexts or with certain additional inputs actually number quite a few. It's true that I like to hide extra mechanics inside others. Some definitely disagree with me here. But I believe the fun of discovering and sharing this is a big part of enjoying the game. It's also a way to keep it interesting for both beginners and experienced players. There's many techniques to learn, but they will not get in the way when you are playing free for all at a house party. In action games, there's an old trick to give more impact to an hit, be it fighting games, beat 'em ups or sports.